Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Crypto Philanthropy, where we highlight the top giving news, stories, and the power of crypto for good. As always, Nick Mikhalevsky here, Senior Sales Manager at The Giving Block, and joined once again by Pietro Moran, Director of Crypto at Shift4. Pietro, whew, what a week, huh?
So, yes, but I think the last episode, because I had to take a break for a couple weeks due to travel, etc. But I think the last episode I asked for permission to be bullish. I think the resounding answer was yes, huh?
Yeah, absolutely crazy, and we'll talk about that a lot today. But man, couldn't have picked better timing for certainly the giving season and everything that we're seeing in the markets. We kind of were cautiously optimistic that things were going to line up so well, and gosh, I think our dreams kind of come true.
I mean, I don't think we could have written the script any better. Now, I'm not going to take credit for the bull market or anything, but I feel like we were kind of like you said, cautiously optimistic, saying like we have all the signs and all the data that says that this could be a great end of the year, and here we are in the middle of November, and it looks like the crypto market is being favored right now. I'm stoked. I'm almost lost for words. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for almost a couple of years now, so it's good to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, feels good to be back. Yeah, so we'll jump in today. We'll do a price check. Lots to talk about there. We'll go through some donation stats. Wanted to shout out some nonprofits that are doing some nice job on socials, and then we'll round out with some news updates. Probably a very hard job to pick which ones to highlight. There's just so much news to share. So yeah, let's jump right in. So as always, right, we still have this promotion that's going on. For those of you who are out there, especially in the last 40 some odd days in the year, do yourself a favor, just ask your supporters if they have some crypto. Everybody's always surprised at where crypto is in their ecosystem. So even if you're not set up on the Giving Block, I guarantee you there's no downside risk to at least just asking the question and see where it takes you. And if so, reach out to us. We'd love to help kickstart that fundraising journey. So with that, markets today, Pietro, you're the markets guy. Break it down for us.
I have been looking forward to this update all day. So we are in rarefied air, ladies and gentlemen. I could not be more excited to tell you that Bitcoin is trading at $92,000 plus as of this recording. And if you think about any past episodes, and the crazy part is this phenomenon has been very, very recent, right? I mean, the last 2 weeks since the election and, leading up to it. Prior to that, we were talking about prices in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And while those were around all time highs, I don't feel like there was a level of enthusiasm that we would have, or that we're seeing now, even though those were historically super elevated prices. Everybody was like, this is table stakes, 70K. That's an appetizer. Now we're here at 90K. We're almost at $100,000 for one Bitcoin. And I think people are starting to, really perk up and say, okay, this is serious. And we're super, super eager to participate more and more. So that being said, Ethereum's trading right around $3,300. Solana making a big comeback, looking at almost 219. And then one of the ones I want to highlight, because over the last week, it's up over 100%. Doge, everyone's favorite dog coin, is 40 cents. I mean, this is unbelievable. So what we're seeing is a relatively broad-based rally across crypto generally. So this isn't pocketed into one coin or just a handful. We're seeing a lot of things rally with the expectation that one, the US, I think, is going to have a more favorable regulatory environment over the next years. Crypto is now part of the firmament. And I think we're just seeing the effect of the kind of persistent institutional, very large players, in the traditional markets getting into crypto and what that means. Have a few more stats on that in the news update later, but I'll kick it back to you, Nick. I mean, couldn't be more fired up.
Yeah, and because good stories all around. I mean, we'll talk a little bit in some of the show today, and I'm sure we'll bring it up again. But shout out to the Doge community. I mean, that community really steps up and has a very generous network. Some of the projects that are in that community support not unsurprisingly, a lot of the dog charities and other animal charities too. So I know that team is probably pretty primed for some year end generosity. So it's going to be absolutely amazing to see what takes place over the next 40 some odd days in the year. So that kind of leads us into, the weekly donation stats, and heck of a week. I mean, certainly as the weekend kind of approached, I was even joking, geez, who knows if we'll see 80,000 over the weekend, and we just completely blew through that. I mean, so looking at some of these statistics here on the screen, pretty impressive. I mean, hovering just about at $2 million just in crypto donations across the last week. And of course, Bitcoin has been the theme this year, the star of that pack. Leading the way. And for folks, again, who maybe missed this, on Monday, we saw, Bitcoin alone get its highest ever daily increase, a $9,000 jump in a single day. And I can tell you from what we saw coming across the giving rails, and certainly from our private donor services team, a flurry of donations, a flurry of major gifts. And you can see kind of like the averages that I put here on the slide. But some of the ultra high net worth donors and the donors that our private donor services team has been in touch with across the last several months, we're really eyeing that sort of psychologically satisfying number of 75,000 Bitcoin as when they would start to come back in. Hey, you're going to hear from us again, when we hit like 72, 75. And now, I mean, we're just absolutely way past that, and those calls are coming back in. People are ready to make those gifts. They've already given those gifts. They plan to make even bigger gifts. So this has been a really busy week on the donation front. It's been absolutely incredible. Pietro, throw it over to you for your thoughts.
I was going to say, can I make a quick comment to say, like, when we said we couldn't write the script any better, I mean, how perfectly aligned is it that we're not only 25 or so percent above that sort of psychological barrier of 75K, but just in time for the holidays when everybody's doing their sort of donation ideation, right? When they're thinking about year-end tax considerations, when we're doing all these things, kind of thinking about others in this sort of charitable time of the year. I mean, couldn't have planned it better because one, like, we didn't even give people the time to think, well, okay, 75, maybe I'll wait for 80. We just gave them 90. You know what I mean? Like, so now here we are. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see who gets to benefit on the nonprofit side from all these folks, not having to wait for 81, then 82. I mean, it happened in a matter of days. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we couldn't have written a better script, and the organizations that have done a really good job of, highlighting this option for donors throughout the year. I take a look at what's coming through on the back end, and it's many of the usual suspects that have done a really great job of stewarding their donors and being that first port of call when moments like this hit. So yeah, those donors know exactly where they want to go to and who set up for it. That said, if you're, someone who is, getting ready to do this or really sees this as like the proof that, okay, now's the time we can go ahead and do this. Not a lot of lead times required. And certainly, what we'll talk about on the next slide here and some of these shout outs. One of the things that I'd want to mention is for anybody that's getting ready to do this, a couple practical things. I mean, I said it at the top of the show, everybody's surprised at how much crypto isn't in their network. They just haven't asked, or donors just haven't been made aware. Two things to kind of, I don't know, like adjacently keep in mind, and some, I put some posts around this earlier in the week. Google search terms and what's in the App Store, somewhat of a leading indicator on where people's headspace is, on certainly on the retail side, and we could talk about sort of the institutional side later. But as far as like donors are concerned, I mean, the search term for Bitcoin's absolutely skyrocketed. Everybody's Googling Bitcoin. They're seeing all the news headlines now. Donors are also looking for organizations that are able to accept Bitcoin and cryptocurrency donations here at year end. Because like I said, we've got, a little bit more than a month to go, and everybody's bags are a little bit heavier. And also on the App Store, you're seeing, Coinbase, Robinhood, all these other apps that are now top of the finance list, almost top across the entire App Store. So, shout out to these organizations that are doing a great job. And we'll put some of these handles in the show notes too, so people can check out their Twitter handles and their profiles. But wanted to throw up a couple examples here. Folks doing a really great job saying that they're open for donations, what those donations allow them to do, which is really great. I can say donors love that. And then of course, some of the thank yous for, donors that have given. And if we go on the next slide, there's a couple other great examples as well. We mentioned, some of the other Web3 communities that are posting, the proof that they've made the donations. I mean, the communities love the fact of, hey, we're going to support this organization, and here's the proof that we actually went ahead and did that. But with something that's different this year, which I think is fantastic, and I highlighted both of these organizations on social media. Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation and Make-A-Wish International, not the only two, but the first two that I saw that, and I know it's a little bit hard to read on the screen right now, but they have their donation link for crypto right in their bio. You can click right from their Twitter handle. Phenomenal. I mean, that's such a good move, especially now when everybody's looking, to make these donations. So just some great examples here of what people are doing. So if you're a nonprofit that's on the platform, here's some great examples to look at and see if it works inside your organization, or, some examples to emulate. And if it's something that you're still curious about, again, here's some great things that organizations are doing that is really driving some meaningful impact here in the last month of the year. But Pietro, what do you think about that?
I mean, what an incredible, I would say, execution from these folks in terms of how they're putting this out for their audience. I mean, I know we're all super excited going into the end of the year. Everybody's mind share is captured by a million different things, right? You're traveling to see family, or you're celebrating in your own way, and whichever holiday that applies to you. But like, really concise call to action, really simple. Like, oh, I see a page on Twitter. It's so easy. I can donate from my phone. I'm just right there. And then also, I mean, everybody loves an impact statement, right? It's so cool to see, because when you think of it in dollar terms, like, okay, I donated $1,000 or $100, like, what does that accomplish? But then to see it as in like 1 Bitcoin equals 10 schools, or 2 people's cancer, combated in a way that they otherwise couldn't have had, help with. And I mean, that type of stuff for me is what enriches the spirit of all of this and makes it real. So, I mean, really a huge shout out to those folks doing the needful and making sure it's easy for their audience to access.
Yeah, especially, some of these organizations that have been doing this for a while have also done a really great job of saying what these donations did this time last year or in earlier points, and, saying, hey, this same unit of cryptocurrency provided 1,000 meals. Now that same amount does 4,000 meals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just absolutely been awesome to, build excitement and engagement with these various crypto communities, especially these Web3 communities. And certainly like the meme coin crowd is absolutely super generous. And again, if you're an organization that gets approached by those organizations, or has some questions, or wants to, learn from other organizations that have, engaged with great collaborations and partnerships, that is our bread and butter. So please reach out to us. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of great examples as the month ticks on. But Pietro, now the tough part, the news. What's in the news?
Oh man, I could have made this list about 100 articles long, so I'm going to try and keep it concise and keep it somewhat high level, because it's really easy to get caught in the weeds here. I do want to ask before I hit the news here, because we were talking about donation stats, and 2 million is a phenomenal number for the past 7 days. I want to get Nick's prediction on, do you think we'll see an all-time record for the Giving Block weekly donation stats coming into the end of the year before I kick things off?
Ooh, it's I think I'm bullish, and I'm probably not bullish enough. I definitely think we're going to see some more records fall. So I'm putting it out there. We can return back to this episode and see if I was right.
All right, first episode in January, we'll see if Nick was right on this. But I would love, I mean, personally, obviously, just to see the impact that it could accomplish, right? To see a $10 million week would be phenomenal. Obviously, we all are optimistic right now, but I think that would be super cool to see. And I think, for folks tuning in, just keep tabs on our socials as we report things out through the end of the year. And then obviously keep tabs on what our partners and friends at all these nonprofits are doing to see, the impact statements. And I think it's just going to be a really wholesome end of the year where we see all this cool giving back happening. Now, with that said, how do I try to condense what feels like a year's worth of news into one slide? So I'll try my best here. And I'm going to start selfishly. I will fully admit and disclose this. So since we last reported on this, or at least since the last time I was on the show, the Shift 4 crypto team has been really hard at work. We made an announcement saying that our Shift 4 client network is now going to be able to accept crypto as a form of payment, both in an e-commerce setting and at their point of sale terminals. So I don't want to make this episode all about us, but we're super thrilled to be leaning in and embracing crypto even more and just adding a very seamless way for folks who say, okay, well, we already accept credit cards and debit cards. We maybe already accept things like PayPal or Apple Pay and other types of wallet integrations. Why don't we just take that to crypto and say, now you can pay with stablecoins or with Bitcoin or with Solana or wherever you're using, wherever you're conducting your business. We wanted to do this for such a long time, and we're super excited to bring it to market. And so that is one thing that I couldn't be more thrilled for. We're onboarding our first pilot customers and should be fully live with that next year. But before I end on this, is there anything you want to add from your side, Nick? Because I know I've been so head in the sand on this product launch for better part of a year now. So would love to get somebody else's take who's not super close to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was super excited and pleasantly surprised that we could bring this to market. And I guess for everybody, this is, not necessarily inside, the nonprofit space, right? This is kind of everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, that's exactly to my point of I'm so in the weeds on it. I didn't even mention that. We're talking about very traditional businesses, whether you're a restaurant or a hotel or an airline or a stadium, right? We wanted this to be a place where the crypto community could find merchants that accept the type of currency or asset that they hold. And just the Giving Block really laid the path for that model, right? Focusing on nonprofits, making sure they have a really seamless and easy experience to interact with something that's new and technologically on the cutting edge. We wanted to bring that experience across all of our commercial partners and make this sort of a global phenomenon, right? Anybody in the world who holds crypto, who wants to buy something online, we're now getting closer to realizing that vision.
Yeah, and I think that there's also, in the nonprofit side, plenty of nonprofits that, do have, services that, people can buy with regular cash and card. And so this could be another, avenue for nonprofits as well. I'm super excited for this. I think this is going to be absolutely amazing.
Well, so I couldn't be more excited as well, but I'll just say stay tuned. We'll have more updates on this. And we really look forward to, all of the folks who have entrusted us with their, commercial experience and can't wait to build alongside them for the future. Back to crypto news. This is really not a piece of news. It's a fun fact, but I wanted to share this to contextualize it because a lot of folks, at least that I talk to on the street or just meet out in public, they say, oh, how's that Bitcoin thing doing? And they're like, what's it worth? $5,000 or $400? I mean, I've seen predictions or questions all over the map. So now, like we said, it's trading around $92,000, $93,000 almost. But to put it in context, it's the single largest asset by market cap in the world. So we're talking about it's bigger than the market cap of silver, something that people have used for millennia as a form of currency, right? I feel like this is the first, time that we're in the biggest of the big leagues, right? It's always been, a phenomenon and a technological innovation that people have leveraged and been excited about. But now we're talking about this being, almost as big as Amazon, right? Just for Bitcoin, the total crypto industry is one of the largest kind of financial ecosystems on planet Earth now. And it's really, really interesting to watch this all develop because as we know, we go through the cycles, it's in vogue, then it's a bear market. It's hot again, then it's not again, right? And I feel like we've just been consistently building towards this vision. It feels like we've crossed the Rubicon in some way this past week in particular. And I'm excited to see where that goes from here. Now, pivoting more towards infrastructure, Revolut is a huge commercial fintech that is expanding its crypto exchange to 30 new markets. I think this is just everybody internally at these companies saying we're giving the green light to crypto. It is something we want to back and support, and we want to make our customers have a really seamless and easy experience when they buy it. So it's always just a nice thing to see that more people are getting access and more firms are lending their, name, reputation, and expertise to supporting the ecosystem. So couldn't be more excited about that. And then on the more public markets front, we have a really interesting one where the SEC has approved a company called Coincheck as the first Japanese exchange to list on the NASDAQ, and that debut should be in about a month on December 10th. I want to get your take on this really quickly, Nick, because I know you follow this stuff and I know you're all over the news as well. But like, what do you think of an international company that's now doing a public offering on US stock exchanges, but with a crypto flavor, right? We don't have a lot of publicly traded crypto companies. There's Coinbase, there's MicroStrategy. I think this is going to be a trend that we see going forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think news like this, and as more publicly traded organizations are announcing a Bitcoin strategy and the kinds of outsized returns that they've seen. There's been a few more companies that have announced that. I think 2025 and a more favorable, regulatory environment, more clear rules of the road, accounting changes that go into effect. I mean, it's really going to be, a lot of tailwinds for this industry to continue to blend, TradFi and the crypto markets. And I think we're going to see these, institutional players really lean into this more. I think a lot of people said, 0 to 100K was kind of like Bitcoin's proof of concept. And now 100K and above, it's really not going anywhere. And we're going to see some further adoption. So really exciting to see.
Yeah, one of the things I infer from this headline is really that this type of a public offering, I mean, this is a legit financial transaction happening here. This doesn't happen without the plumbing for the ecosystem. Like you said, the rules of the road from a regulatory clarity and sort of assurance perspective. I mean, this is, sort of big money movement happening around crypto. And it's just nice to see that in the, past couple of years where price maybe hasn't been always the best, those folks who have just been working and chipping away at the kind of not the wall of worry, but just against the impediments and potential blockers around this type of thing happening. And they seem to have succeeded in that, right? So the SEC wouldn't approve this if it wasn't totally legitimate. And I don't think, a company would even pursue this if they didn't think there was a strong chance of it actually going through. So super excited to follow that. And I think, like you said, 2025, 26, I think the IPO window is going to be very strong for crypto. And so we'll definitely keep you updated as more news comes out around that. Last one for the day. I've already exceeded my quota for news updates, but one thing I also wanted to talk about, I just said how Bitcoin's the seventh largest asset in the world. But what does that mean in dollar terms? And what does that mean for the institutions who we have, so often harped on? And it's been a theme around this show of like the institutions are coming. People who are traditional market or traditional finance and money managers are coming to crypto. They're offering this in a way that people want to participate. So IBIT, which is the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, is now holding over $40 billion worth of Bitcoin alone for its clients. I like this round number. I mean, I say over 40, but it's probably like 42 or something now just because the price has gone up so aggressively since I even made the note. All that to say, like, this is just US individuals and entities that are purchasing Bitcoin through a regulated, well-known provider like BlackRock and saying, we're aligned, we're involved, and we want to participate. If they alone hold 40 billion, I'm not going to conjecture to say what all the ETFs hold, but it is a substantial amount of money. And it's, I think, cemented itself. The Bitcoin ETF is the single best performing ETF in the history of finance ever, and holds almost as much AUM, which is assets under management, as the gold ETF. So what that says to me is like, what was 2 years ago maybe not the most exciting or interesting asset to people is now almost the most important asset in most people's portfolios, or at least what people are paying attention to. I mean, gold's had a head start of a couple thousand years, and I'd say we've caught up pretty aggressively lately. But Nick, what do you take from that?
Yeah, I mean, On the ETF side, I mean, gold ETFs launched about 20 with a 20-year head start. I think it's taken about 200 some odd days for the IBIT ETF, which is absolutely just hoovering in capital
Yeah.
every single day. So, yeah, absolute insane demand. The fact that it's put up this number inside the first year. Remember, this launched in January of last year, so we still have a few more months left. But yeah, it's been pretty incredible to see. And as we again kind of round out this conversation, you keep in mind, for the nonprofits that have stuck with us to this point in the episode, with the institutions here, you've got serious demand. You also have this timing with year end, the tax incentives. But again, you've got institutional players that come with all of the education, awareness, uh, tax considerations. So there are a lot more things that are here now for the first time ever that have not existed up to this point, or at least existed in very niche parts of the market. Certainly, there have been some people that have been on top of giving crypto and the tax considerations that go along with that. But now we really have a mass market, clear rules of the road, and demand that's just absolutely off the chart. So, yeah, for those organizations that are in the space, like we said, 2026, I think it's going to be a pretty incredible shift in certainly the financial makeup of portfolios, and with that go along the charitable considerations. So really excited for the next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just that was a masterclass in explaining that. I think you just hit the nail on the head in saying that the infrastructure around this industry is on par with, the best in the world around other asset classes. And like you said, there's been a lot of support for crypto donors, through your team at the Giving Block and through other folks. But now it's like, how do you extend and multiply that effort across, tens, if not hundreds of millions of clients that are being serviced by these financial institutions who have decades of experience in the game and know how to, make those astute, judgment calls alongside their clients and give advice. I think that's going to be a tailwind that probably, not to get ahead of myself here, but I really think this is a tailwind that doesn't stop. It just brings crypto into the conversation, and I don't think it leaves again. So that's why I'm so excited. We see 90K, potentially 100K soon. But all that means is that this is something that people can no longer ignore. And, not to say to pop the champagne today, but, it's certainly, it feels like a vibe shift in a major way for folks that have been supporting the industry, and couldn't be more stoked as we go
Yeah.
forward.
Absolutely. Totally agree. To close things out, if you are a nonprofit that, is certainly on our platform, tag us in those social posts. We want to make sure we can boost those and amplify those as much as possible here at year end. We love sharing stories of crypto for good. And of course, we have our huge year end campaign, Crypto for Good, going underway. So tag the Giving Block, hashtag Crypto for Good, helps us get that out there in front of as many donors as possible, so they can make those significant donations as we are at all-time highs. So have fun out there. Let us know where the Giving Block team can help, and check out Pay with Crypto from Shift4. Man, so much stuff going on right now. It's going to be great, and we'll see what happens between now and next week. I can't wait to see where we are. So with that, yeah, see you next week, everybody.